It's the Michael Patrick Leahy Show, broadcasting live from downtown Nashville. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
And good morning to the John Fredericks Radio Network. We are indeed broadcasting live from our studios in downtown Nashville. Hello to everybody across the United States that's listening to the program, of course. And also a tip of the hat to the great John Fredericks, who is, did you hear him broadcasting live from Doha, in the capital of Qatar, in the Middle East? Wow, that was very compelling radio. Well done, John. Well, it's that time of day again. It's time for the morning rundown for Monday, December 9th, 2024, brought to you by the Glock Store, glockstore.com, located right here in downtown, well, actually not downtown, in Nashville near the airport. Here we go, the morning rundown for December 9th, 2024. Number one, Donald Trump, the boss, Big Daddy, showed the world again. He's the man. He was on Saturday in Paris, France, Notre Dame Cathedral Grand Reopening. What a beautiful facility. Beautiful. The reassertion of Western culture. Everybody paid deference to him. Even, you saw this clip. Do you see Jill Biden looking at him? Like, oh yeah, you're the real deal here, Donald. Not this Joe Biden character that she's been tethered to for half a century. All right, we'll have more on that. Number two, Trump had an hour-long interview with Kristen Welker on Meet the Press. And again, he demonstrated who the boss is. He is the boss. He handled that very, very well. We'll talk about that in great detail. Number three, the Syrian regime of Assad. The Assad family has run Syria for, over half a century. It fell quickly. And apparently Assad has gone to Russia for asylum. Don't cast any tears for him. He's worth about $2 billion. But Syria is falling apart. Number four, Joe Biden has, he's determined to get us into World War III between now and January 20th, 2025, when Donald Trump officially takes over. He was bombing ISIS-aligned groups in Syria. Trump says, this is not our problem, stay out of it. We'll have more on that in a bit. Number five, Laura Trump, the daughter-in-law of Donald Trump, is leaving her position as co-chair of the Republican National Committee. Some say it might have something to do with the possibility of Ron DeSantis naming her to be senator from Florida. We'll see. I'm a little skeptical. Number six, Pete Hegseth, hanging tough. I think he's going to make it as Secretary of Defense. And we'll see how that all plays out. But all the personal attacks, not so much. And he's not caving. And I like that about him. Number seven, you just heard it on the news. Juan Soto, the New York Mets, demonstrating that they learned nothing from the Bobby Bonilla deal. The New York Mets have signed Juan Soto to a 15-year, $765 million contract. 15 years. 700. That's over $50 million a year. Now, Juan Soto's a great player. He's not worth $50 million a year. He hit 288 that's his average, lifetime average, I think. And that's what he hit for the Yankees last year. He had 44 home runs. That's great, but you're not going to build a championship team on Juan Soto. I'm just telling you right now. By the way, they did this, 30 years ago with Bobby Bonilla? Remember him? He was a big deal with the Pirates for a while. And Bobby Bonilla, they signed this ridiculously large contract, but it had deferred money. He retired, I don't know, about 2000. He gets like $1 million a year on, I think it was, July 14th every year. It's got Bobby Bonilla Day. Gets $1 million a year. He's still collecting it. It's become legendary. And Bobby Bonilla, good player. He wasn't worth what the Mets paid him. And I think Juan Soto, I don't think he'll be as much of a bust on the field as Bobby Bonilla was, but somebody hits 288 and 44 home runs a year, not worth $50 million a year. I'm sorry, guys, just not going to work. Okay, there you go. That's the morning rundown for Monday, December 9th, 2024. Brought to your friends at the Glock Store. You know, I just heard from my good friend Lenny McGill. He's the founder and CEO of the Glock Store. He said their Black Friday deal days were a huge success, including, thank you, by the way, an uptick in sales from the cities that get the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. We're talking Pittsburgh and Philadelphia and all across Virginia and Atlanta, of course, Nashville here, and Memphis, and in West Virginia, Morgantown as well. So thank you for that. Now, if you missed out on those deals, don't worry. They'll be launching their Christmas sales soon enough with even more great deals on clocks, performance parts, and all the great accessories they stock. And they only stock the best because they personally test each one. If Lenny McGill doesn't like it, it doesn't get on, period. And if he really likes a product, he features them on his incredible YouTube channel. You got to look at this. Over 500,000 subscribers, nearly 1,000 videos. Basically, it's on shooting techniques and style. 99% thumbs up rating. If you aren't a fan yet, you got to go there. Go to youtube.com/@ the @ Glock Store. That's youtube.com/@ Glock Store. And don't forget, go to theglockstore.com and sign up for their weekly sales letters. You'll even get a link to the latest Lenny video every Wednesday afternoon. I'm very proud that Lenny Gill is a friend and a sponsor. Visit glockstore.com today. You'll be glad you did, and so will I, because they're a great sponsor. All right, there you go. I got a couple fun things to start off with. In our next segment, we'll get to the Trump Meet the Press interview. But right now, if you track the whole Elon Musk with his son, X, I think X is like 3 years old. He carries a kid around up, on his shoulders and goes to all his meetings. Now, I don't know the dynamics. He has, 12 kids by like 3 or 4 different women? I think it's 12 kids by 4 women. Yeah. But X is the one that's hanging around with him. I think the mother is Grimes, the Canadian rock star or singer. Anyways, Lil X and Elon do have a lot in common. They have physical appearance. And so Elon was put this clip out of Lil X. His name really is X something, but they call him Lil X. That's really his name. This clip has got like 16 million views. We're going to play it right now. Here we go. Lil X.
What should I do?
Save America.
And?
Help Trump.
Okay.
Save America. Help Trump. Little 3-year-old kid, Lil X. You wonder how that kid's going to develop. I mean, is he now like the most well-known 3-year-old in the history of 3-year-olds? And what does it do to your sense of self? I don't know, but we'll see. We'll see. Okay, a little fun here too. YMCA, that song. We've got a little clip here about the guy that wrote YMCA and how he granted Trump the rights to its use. Here we go. YMCA, clip 21.
I do think the gay community should be aware that the lyrics are not referring to what they believe the lyrics are referring to that would make the song, in their minds, a gay anthem, such as illicit activity at the Y. No, I wouldn't be suing you over it, so don't trip.
Okay, so you wrote the lyrics. What's the song about?
Well, the song is about my growing up experiences in San Francisco, in the urban area, where I used to go to the Y. We used to play basketball, and we play sports. And me and my boys, we used to use the expression "hanging out with the boys."
So I want to just add this. So he saw how much fun people are having, and he gave Trump the rights to use it. I want to say this. He's about 4 years older than I am, but as a kid, I would go to the YMCA in Plattsburgh, New York. You were a young kid. My first time swimming, playing basketball. I remember I was on the 6-5 Little Rams team. The first time I played basketball in second grade. And I loved going to the YMCA. I get that, as does a lot of America. All right, when we come back, Donald Trump, really a master class in dealing with the press on Meet the Press. I'm Michael Patrick Leahy. Back after this.
Hey there, this is Lenny McGill, founder and CEO of The Glock Store. As a proud sponsor of this show, you may have heard Michael Patrick Leahy mention us a few times over the past 4 years. But today, it's me on the radio telling you how pleased we are to be associated with Michael Patrick Leahy and his dedication to the highest levels of professional journalism. Michael Patrick Leahy has been threatened with jail time in bringing the true facts about that Nashville Covenant shooting to his listening audience. Michael Patrick Leahy, you keep doing what you're doing, and we here at the Glock Store will keep sponsoring your show for the good of Nashville and the entire country. And I'm personally inviting all of your listeners to come visit and shoot at the Glock Store. It's where Michael Patrick Leahy learned to shoot a gun for the first time and where he bought his own personal Glock 19. I'm Lenny McGill, founder and CEO of the Glock Store here in Nashville, just minutes from the airports, worth the drive from anywhere, and a proud sponsor of Michael Patrick Leahy and the Tennessee Star Report.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
And welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Hey, if you're listening and you want to weigh in, we would love to hear from you. Now, the number is different than the number to call into the John Fredericks Radio Show. Write it down. 615-649-8477. 615-649-8477. Tell our producer, Patrick, your name, where you're from, and your topic. Right now, the topic, of course, is Donald Trump's Meet the Press interview with Kirsten Welker. We'll talk a little bit about that here in a bit. But I want to say also, you can reach us on X, formerly Twitter. You can send me a text there or a message or a direct message. Michael P. Leahy. Also, you can watch us on YouTube, The Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Just plug that in. There we are. And also listening on the John Fredericks radio app, as well as on terrestrial radio in 22 markets, Pennsylvania and Virginia, Georgia, West Virginia, Tennessee. And I hear that there's going to be another 9 stations in West Virginia, says John Fredericks. So, look, we are growing, and we're just excited to have you here with us. 615-649-8477. All right. So it's been a busy weekend. We're going to get to, in our second hour, I'm going to talk a little bit about how Donald Trump was the boss of the world when he went to the grand reopening of the Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris, France. By the way, beautifully redone, and really a landmark Western civilization. You know, that thing was built, 800 years ago by what they say was illiterate noblemen. And boy, is it beautiful. I mean, beyond beautiful. It is a statement about what Western civilization is all about, even though it's in Paris, France, which is kind of crumbling a little bit these days. But I want to talk a little bit now in this segment about Meet the Press. And apparently this was recorded on Friday before Donald Trump went to Paris. And he's back here safely, by the way. We told you on Friday that we were concerned about his safety. Turned out it was all great, but he's back in West Palm Beach, Florida, and we are thankful that he is. I will tell you my reaction to this. Why, Mr. President-elect, are you giving some credibility credence to one of the worst regime media haranguers out there? I'm talking about Kirsten Welker. Why did you give her over an hour? Right? My initial reaction was, you know what she's going to say. Well, guess what? I got to say, Trump knew what he was doing. Because if you watch that interview, he was calm, cool, collected, and confident. And he didn't take the bait. He didn't get into a big screaming match with her at all. In fact, he controlled it. I want to play this clip, which sort of illustrates that. This clip is about Trump responding to her question about the 2020 election. He handled it perfectly, in my view. Here we go, clip 10.
Sir, I don't have to tell you this because you've talked about it. It comes at a time when the country is deeply divided. And now you're going to be leading this country for the next 4 years. For the sake of unifying this country, will you concede the 2020 election and turn the page on that chapter?
Can we just pause it here for a second? We could grab back. For the sake of unifying the country, can you concede today that you lost 2020? Now, what a stupid question, right? That has nothing to do with unifying the country going forward. It's like, well, can't you just admit that we were right? Well, they weren't right. Trump didn't fall for it. Look, he doesn't get all hot and bothered about it. Just matter of factly, just destroys her. Here we go. Here's the rest of that clip.
On that chapter.
No, why would I do that? But let me just tell you, when you say the country is deeply divided, I'm not the president. Joe Biden's the president.
But you're going to be the president.
No. I'm not the president. So when you say it's deeply divided, I agree. But Biden's the president, I'm not. And he has been a divider. And you know where he divided it more than anything else, and it probably backfired on him, I think definitely, is weaponization. When he weaponized the Justice Department and he went after his political opponent, me. He went after his political opponent violently because he knew he couldn't beat him. And I think it really was a bad thing. And it really divided our country.
Sir, Democrats have control of the White House now. They didn't in 2020. If they are going around stealing elections, why didn't they do it?
When you say Democrats have control now?
Of the White House.
Yeah.
So why didn't they steal this election? Since they have more power now.
Because I think it was too big to rig.
Okay. What a masterclass. I mean, back to the old, it's a modern version of the classic. When did you stop beating your wife? Right? He didn't fall for it. Very cool, calm, collected. He didn't say, oh, you're terrible. No, he said, no, very, very direct. Okay. So then she tried to get him on birthright citizenship. Let's play clip 9.
You promised to end birthright citizenship on day one. Is that still your plan?
Yeah, absolutely.
The 14th Amendment, though, says that, quote, all persons born in the United States are citizens. Can you get around?
Hold it. Stop. Now, that's not what the 14th Amendment says in full. The 14th Amendment says all citizens born in the United States subject to the jurisdiction of the United States. What does that mean? It means if your parents are illegals and you're born here, they are not subject to the jurisdiction of the United States, and you, as their child, are not subject to the jurisdiction of the United States. Now, Kristen Welker knows that. It's been out there. It's a clear argument against birthright citizenship based upon the Constitution. So she's trying to set Trump up again. But again, his response, masterful. Here we go.
Can you get around the 14th Amendment with an executive action?
We're going to have to get a change. We'll maybe have to go back to the people, but we have to end it. We're the only country that has it.
Through an executive action?
We're the only country that has it. If somebody sets a foot, just a foot, 1 foot, you don't need two, on our land, congratulations, you are now a citizen of the United States of America. Yes, we're going to end that because it's ridiculous.
Through executive action?
Well, if we can, through executive action. I was going to do it through executive action, but then we had to fix COVID first, to be honest with you. We have to end it. Okay,
so she's kind of rude, right? She's trying to jump in, not allowing him to finish. It doesn't faze him one bit. Then we have this answer on pardons for J6, those who've been convicted on these phony J6 charges. Here we go. Trump, this is clip 6, Trump on J6. 7 is on the pardons. Okay.
We're going to look at everything. We're going to look at individual cases, yeah.
Okay.
But I'm going to be acting very quickly.
Within your first 100 days, first day?
First day.
First day.
Yeah, I'm looking first day.
Issue these pardons.
These people have been there. How long is it? 3 or 4 years.
Okay.
By the way, they've been in there for years, and they're in a filthy, disgusting place that shouldn't even be allowed to be open.
Yeah, a good point. And so a couple things, people that the first thing they need to do is to pardon those that are currently in prison in the terrible District of Columbia jails. I mean, that's where it's just filthy, beyond filthy. And I don't know how much damage has been done to them. So those people should be pardoned. And number one. Then I think in terms of you need to pardon the people that have been sentenced. Steve Baker, for instance, is one of the guys that he's been our friend, a reporter for The Blaze, who's been charged and ended up pleading no contest, and because he thought he'd get a pardon. I think he will. Steve Baker. He was reporting on it. He was just there reporting on it, and they charged him with all sorts of stuff. Other left-wing journalists did the same thing. Didn't charge them whatsoever. Also, Mr. President, on the top of your list, there should be a pardon should be coming for people who have served their terms and were falsely convicted and served time in federal prison. And at the very top of that list is our friend from here in Middle Tennessee, Stuart Parks. So let's get Stuart Parks on the top of the list of those people that be pardoned. We're going to get Stuart in and talk to him about that, where that process is. Our hope is on the afternoon of January 20th, Stuart Parks' pardon is at the very top of the list. We'll have more when we get back. Tom Pappard joins us for his reaction to Meet the Press and what the president said about the Department of Justice and the FBI. We care about that because they're withholding documents from us. Back after this.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Good morning and welcome back. We are joined now on our Zoom Newsmaker line right now by the great Tom Pappert, our lead political reporter at the Tennessee Star and the Star News Network. Good morning, Tom.
Good morning, Michael.
Tom, I wonder if you had the same reaction that I did when I heard that President-elect Trump had granted over an hour interview to Kirsten Welker on Meet the Press. My reaction initially was, respectfully, Mr. President-elect, what are you doing? Why are you giving some oxygen to the regime media that hates your guts? That was my original reaction. What was your reaction when you heard that?
Well, I did have sort of the same thought. I try to be very trusting of President-elect Donald Trump. He did just win in an unprecedented landslide, after all. But the thought occurred to me, Michael, we won the election in large part by going on these podcasts and having unedited 2-hour-long discussions with real human beings. Why are we talking to this fake news woman who is going to do nothing but try to slander and mar us for an hour and a half? But as you said in the last segment, Trump was in rare form. I think he knew exactly what he was doing.
That was my take on it. She tried to, bait him into some kind of debate over this, that, or the other. Did you get the same sense that Donald Trump's overall demeanor today is very different than it's been at any other time, in the sense that it's the same Donald Trump, but he is calm, cool, collected, confident, and when somebody comes up and says, when did you stop beating your wife? That's kind of question. He just sort of rolls past it. What was your take on that?
I would say not only that, but he has a certain level of knowledge. It was almost an intellectual debate with President Trump. He turns it on the interviewer at one point and says, well, I am the top law enforcement officer in the land as president of the United States.
I caught that. So she says, she tries to get him on, well, are you going to pardon these terrible people, some of whom, confess to fighting with police officers? and his demeanor, it wasn't like, he was very calm, very cool, very directed, I would say the word would be powerful. And he said, well, I have the absolute right to do that. I am, as you know, see, that's his technique. As you know, that's the whole buy-in technique. I am the chief law enforcement officer of the country. And she kind of like, oh, yeah, well, you kind of got me on that one.
And I don't think you would have seen this version of Trump. We had to go through the arduous last 8 years, especially these last 4 years. But this is a Trump who, he's in his second term. He has all the knowledge that he gained from his first term. Then he has even more knowledge that he gained along with his allies like Stephen Miller from watching the disastrous Biden administration. This guy is the most equipped man to be president that we've ever had, the most experienced man that we've had, I would argue, since FDR, since this is essentially his third campaign for office that he's won.
Yeah, good point. And we'll get to that. What's interesting, just from a historical perspective, he's the first since Grover Cleveland. He's the first president to serve non-consecutive terms. Grover Cleveland was first elected in, I think it was 1884, and then he lost his re-election battle in 1888. Grover Cleveland, in my view, kind of the last sane Democrat. Okay. And then he lost the Electoral College to Benjamin Harrison, the grandson of William Henry Harrison, who served from 1889 to 1893. And then he won in 1892. Grover Cleveland's second term was not that good because of there were all sorts of financial runs, and there was a panic, and it didn't go as well. My sense is it's going to be exactly the opposite with Donald Trump, because he knows the pitfalls to avoid. Notice, did you see this, Tom? So Kirsten Welker trying to do a gotcha on him. Are you going to direct your Attorney General Pam Bondi and your FBI head Kash Patel to go after your enemies in retribution. Did you notice how he handled that?
Masterfully is how he handled it.
Yeah, he said basically, I'm not directing them, but if they find a crime and they need to pursue it, that's their job. I trust them to do their job. I thought that was very good. Also, the other thing that it's interesting because the theme that he was hitting, the overarching theme, was one of unity. And I think back to why did he go on NBC? I think there's a clear message he wants to send. And she kind of set him up for it. Because in that question about retribution against your enemies, he said, look, I'm not looking backwards. I'm looking forward to make a great America. I want to drill for oil. I want grocery prices to come down. And I want people who were opposed to me, I will treat them with the same level of love and respect that I treat MAGA people with, my supporters. I thought that was spectacularly smart. Your thoughts on that, Tom Pappert?
I think you're right. I think that is the exact reason why he went on it. And look, before the election, he chose not to go on 60 Minutes, I think, very intelligently. And so now there is still this contingent of the country. We know that they're an absolute minority, both in the raw numbers and in the number of swing states. But there is still this minority of Americans that for some reason watches TV and trusts the person on the screen. It's an inexplicable thing that the majority of people listening to this show could never comprehend, but these people exist and they're out there, and President Trump wants to be their president too. And I think it's admirable that he's trying to pierce through this propaganda, and I think he actually did a pretty effective job.
Yeah, the other thing that I thought was of note, where he said, look, Pam Bondi is very competent. She'll run the Department of Justice. Kash Patel. And even, it was very interesting because she said, Kirsten Welker, and by the way, I thought she was more than a little bit rude, trying to interrupt him. I don't think it helped. At the very end, you saw he said, "Oh, well, you need Kristen. You're obviously kind of biased here, and it's hurting you." It's like dad talking to, it's hurting you, so you don't want to be biased. But he saved that to the end, which I thought was really, really good. The part that I thought was interesting that's relevant to us has to do with, as we've been reporting on this for over a year and a half, we have requested in a Freedom of Information Act request the release of all the remaining 1,000 pages of the Covenant Killer Manifesto. And just as you know, that happened 28-year-old Audrey Elizabeth Hale, who self-identified as a transgender male, even though she hadn't gone through any of the hormone therapy or puberty blockers or surgery, as far as we can tell. She walked into her elementary school and killed 3 kids and 3 staff members, and then was shortly killed herself that afternoon. And since then, we have been asking both the FBI and Metro Nashville Police Department to get the full Covenant Killer Manifesto. They've refused to do it. We've complied with the law. They didn't honor the Freedom of Information Act request. We filed both a federal and a state lawsuit. Those lawsuits were filed in May. On the state side, we lost at the trial court. We're appealing to the appeals court. On the federal side, the Judge Trotter, is still reviewing in camera all these documents. Now, we did obtain 80 of the 1,000 pages, the last 3 months' journal. We obtained it legally, and we published them in September. But there's still 1,000 pages there. Now, it seems to me, Tom, that the day after Kash Patel steps in, we're going to get those 1,000 pages directly from the FBI, and it'll come right to us, and you'll be writing about it.
It's very exciting. I think if one thing we may have learned from the interview that it won't be 12:01, Michael, that on January 20th, it might be more like 12:45 because it sounds like President Trump is going to have to walk down the hall and actually fire Christopher Wray and have him perp walked out of the building, take his security clearance, make sure he doesn't go access his computer. It's going to have to be that sort of situation. So that'll result in, I assume, about a 45-minute delay to us getting the full manifesto. And I think I can live with that after this arduous period since March of 2023.
So a couple things about that. All those 1,000 pages of her writings will come to us and us only, because we're the only ones that submitted the Freedom of Information Act request. So you're going to be very busy writing stories on those 1,000 pages, which the FBI, the Biden FBI, the Biden DOJ, the Biden administration want to conceal from the American people. And we have some ideas as to why they want to conceal it. Did you notice the clever way in which Trump sent a message to Christopher Wray? Kirsten Welker asked if he would fire Director Wray of the FBI, whom he appointed back in 2017. He's got a 10-year term. And he didn't directly say I would fire the guy, even though he said, well, it's obvious that if Kash Patel is the head, something's going to have to change there. I think he's trying to give Wray the understanding that if you don't want to get perp walked out the building, you need to resign of your own accord. Is that how you read it?
It is how I read it, and I think he's also trying to present a unifying message. He's not going to come on, and I'll do my best Sean Farish impression. I will fire him day one. I mean, that's just not the.
That's
type
pretty
of
good,
Trump
Tom. That's pretty good.
That's just not the Trump that he wanted to present, though, and so he gave a very diplomatic. Well, there's somebody in that position now, and if Kash Patel is elected to that position, then I guess that person's going to have to go somewhere else. Now, and I think this is sort of the message to many of these sort of deep state actors within the federal government right now is you have an opportunity, go ahead and resign, retire, collect your pension, go work in defense contracting, go get a lobbyist job. You have a good 40 days left to do this and not have it be a big mess. If you don't want it to be a giant media kerfuffle wherein your name is probably stained for all conservatives till the end of time, go ahead and leave now while you can take your pension.
But I don't think I don't think Christopher Wray wants to do that. I think he wants to stay around, and he thinks having Trump fire him and publicly humiliate him is going to be good for him. I think he's going to try to create a problem. I don't think it's going to turn out so well. What do you think?
It may help him sell some books, but I don't think it's going to hurt President Trump. I think America is ready and excited to see heads proverbially roll at the federal government. They're ready to see people who have been there for a long time or who have made decisions that most people disagree with. We're ready to see them kicked out of office, kicked out of their bureaucratic positions and forced back into the labor market. This isn't 2019.
It's not. I have a theory.
Like it used to be.
I have a theory why Christopher Wray's hanging on to the bitter end. Because I think there's some documents that they're trying to get rid of. That's what I think.
We did see the paper shredding van outside the DOJ a couple weeks ago.
Good point. Tom Pappert, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Michael. Anytime.
All right, we'll have more when we get back. I'm Michael Patrick Leahy.
My fellow Americans, I have to tell you about my good friends at D.T. McCall & Sons. They have furniture and appliances and a lot more. They've been family-owned in Middle Tennessee for over 100 years, and they're not going to rip you off. No hidden charges, no delivery charges, no charges for all of the crazy things. These are sick people at the lumber yards. These are very sick people. They charge you for cords and hoses and haul off. They charge you for all of these things. They call them hidden charges. It's the type of surprise that you don't want to see. It's like an October surprise, but it's worse. D.T. McCall & Sons, they're not going to do that. They're great people. They're going to give you a great deal. With locations in Lebanon, Carthage, Lafayette, Cookeville, and Franklin, D.T. McCall & Sons will give you the deal of your life. Check them out today or go to dtmccalls.com.
Impersonator not endorsed by Donald Trump.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Our number 615-649-8477. 615-649-8477. And, of course, you can see all of our stories at TennesseeStar.com. TennesseeStar.com. That's the flagship of the Star News Network. We have additional sites in Virginia and Pennsylvania and Georgia Star News, and the Pennsylvania Daily Star, the Virginia Star as well. But the big dog is TennesseeStar.com, the Tennessee Star. 615-649-8477. Well, I promised that we'd talk a little bit about the news of Saturday when Donald Trump went to Paris, France. Notre Dame Cathedral has been rebuilt. It was burned back 5 years ago, almost burned down. It was saved by the local firefighters there. And, the causes of it, I think there's some Islamist group claimed credit for it. The press there is saying, well, we don't know who did it. I think we're pretty sure, pretty obvious. If you've looked at the pictures, oh, it's gorgeous. I think it was always beautiful, but I think the changes that they've made, they've kind of added a little bit of a modern element to it, and a little bit. Architecturally, they've blended the classic architecture of those cathedrals from the period when it was built. I think it took like 180 years to build. I think it was built. They started in 1180 A.D. and they finally finished it like around 1360. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful facility. I think you're going to see even higher levels of tourism. It took about $250 million donations from around the world for this. And America gave about $57 million of that. This was the return to international prominence, international leadership of Donald J. Trump. And look, I was concerned about the safety of Donald Trump. He's relatively secure in Mar-a-Lago and West Palm Beach, but what security would he have in France? Well, it turned out okay. And I was a little surprised at the order in which these things developed. So first, he lands there on Saturday. I think it was early morning our time. It's about 6 hours difference between the Eastern time zone of the United States and Paris, France. So if it's 9 a.m. in America in the Eastern time zone, that would be 3 p.m. in the afternoon. He went immediately to the residence of the French Prime Minister, Macron, and they had a talk, and it was interesting. Did you see the handshake thing? We're going to play that for you in a bit here. We'll start with let's do the handshake thing first. Let's and then we'll get what the nice words they said to each other. So the handshake is clip 2A, and we got that. Okay, good. Let's just go. Here's the handshake, and it's like the Trump power thing. It's like they've done this power thing. Trump is like 6'3", He's a big guy. When I stand, I'm like 5'10". Okay, 5'9.5". I say 5'10". But I've been standing next to Trump. He's 6'2", 6'3". Big, tall guy. And I think Macron's about my size. And so you see they've got this history of Trump doing the power handshake. Here we go. Clip 2A, Trump with the power handshake of Macron. Yeah, we don't have a lot of audio, but there he is. he's got like a vice grip on Macron's hand as they start off. And Macron's like puts his hand on Trump's, and they're both smiling. And it's a bit of a game, but it's Trump saying to the world, here I am, I'm back, I'm in charge. Okay, so here are the words that they said about the partnership working together from clip 1. Clip 1, Trump and Macron in Paris on Saturday.
President, I just it's a great honor for French people to welcome you 5 years later. And you were at that time president for the first time. And I remember the solidarity and your immediate action. So, welcome back again.
Thank you
We
very
are
much.
very happy to have you here.
Thank you very much. Very great honor. And we had a great relationship, as everyone knows. We accomplished a lot together. And the people of France are spectacular. I guess it's one of our largest groups in the United States, French people. And we respect them and we love them. Very talented people. Extremely energetic people, as you know very well.
Yeah.
And it's an honor to be here. We had a good time together, and we had a lot of success, really great success.
Okay, and then, and I don't know if Trump knew this was coming, but then apparently Macron invited Zelensky from Ukraine to come in and talk. And let's just say this. So there's Trump. You saw they were in very fine business attire. So Zelensky comes in wearing like a T-shirt and trying to look cool. He's about 5'5", 5'6". He's tiny. And I think Trump said, okay, enough of that. I'm told, he said, next time you meet me, you're wearing a suit and tie, buddy. And I think he should. All right, when we come back, we'll have more. We'll have Scott Golden, the chairman of the Tennessee Republican Party, will be joining us. I'm Michael Patrick Leahy, back after this.